Hi guys, welcome to my channel Lush Gardener. I hope you guys are fine and are safe. So in today's video we are going to be talking about, can we use the all-purpose fertilizer for our succulents. Now when I say all-purpose, it's basically for your flowering plants, for your foliage plants, or for your veggies and fruiting plants. Now guys, remember, a lot of these all-purpose fertilizers have a very high ratio of the nitrogen. Basically the NPK value is 19-19-19 ratio. Now as we have always spoken about this, succulents do not prefer a soil or a fertilizer that has a high value of nitrogen, that is 19 is going to be too much. A lot of times the succulent roots might get damaged, even might get burnt. Now generally nitrogen is very essential for all of the plants, but anything in excess can definitely burn the plant. Not only our succulents, but it can even burn any of the plant if the nitrogen level is too high. As important nitrogen is, it can also be quite deadly if it is used in a large amount. Apart from that, it can also attract a lot of pests if the amount of nitrogen is too much. If the plant is taking in too much of nitrogen, a lot of times the plants are also attacked with a lot of pests. So we do not want to use any fertilizer or any nutrient that is very high in the value of nitrogen. Even the aquarium water, always remember, aquarium water also tends to have a lot of ammonia, which then gets converted into nitrates, and that can also be very strong for your succulents. So if your aquarium water has a very strong odor, please do not use that water for your succulents. It will definitely harm your succulents. And as I've always spoken, you might have seen a lot of my videos on my channel. I talk about every detail about succulents, but I have not spoken much about fertilizers. The reason is because it's not the most important thing when it comes to succulents, and succulents will do absolutely well without adding additional fertilizers. Now for example, I have this champagne over here. What I'm going to do is I will put the image how it looked in the month of April. I will put the video clip on the or the image on the right hand side. You will be able to see how this champagne tend to look in the month of April, and on your left hand side this is how it looks at the present date. You can see now this champagne, I haven't added even a single ounce or a single drop of fertilizer or any kind of nutrients. I have just left it on nature. It got into its growing season, it grew very well. Very soon it's going to get into its winter season, and that's the time when it is going to go dormant. Probably then we will get the same colors back. But you can see how well it has grown without a single drop of fertilizer or any kind of nutrients. Now what I had initially thought, because I had started my succulents, it's been almost 7 years of growing succulents. Initial 2 years I did add a little bit of fertilizers, and there were some pots that I did not add fertilizers. And what I noticed is the ones that I added fertilizers and the ones that I didn't add fertilizers, they both had the similar growth, and I didn't see any much of difference in both. But again, when I used to use fertilizers, I used to use it in a very weak strength, in a very diluted form. It was never too much, only during the growing season, but I did not see much difference. Both of them used to grow at the same time. Both were very healthy, whether I added fertilizers, whether I didn't add fertilizers. Both of the succulents were doing quite well. Over here as well, you can see all of these pots, they do not have any kind of fertilizers. It's just that regular potting mix that I tend to use without any fertilizers in it. So what I thought, that after I stop using fertilizers, I will keep a watch on them. Probably they might ask me fertilizers at some given point of time, and probably then that's when I'm going to add. Probably they will show me some signs of stunned growth, or probably dropping the leaves, or some kind of sign, because I didn't know what exactly are they going to ask for. Because usually when we have our regular plants, if we do not add fertilizers, either they don't flower, or either they don't grow quite well, either they have yellow spots, or some kind of indication that the plant needs fertilizers. So I thought I'm going to wait for these signs to be shown on my succulents, and then probably I will add fertilizers in case if they do ask. So ever since I've stopped, it's been 5 years. I'm waiting for 5 years, but I have still not seen any signs wherein the succulents are basically asking me for any kind of fertilizers. I haven't had any issues with stunned growth. They have been growing according to what rate the succulent has to grow. So it's been 5 years. I'm waiting for any signs that they are going to ask me for fertilizers, and trust me, they haven't asked any signs. I haven't seen any issues with the growth of succulents without the fertilizers. And that's when I decided that if the succulent is not asking for it, then why should I even waste my money on fertilizers, or why even prepare fertilizers when it's not even required? So I just completely quit. But again, as I said, I'm still waiting. It's 5 years. It's going to be 6 years next year. And I'm still going to be waiting that in case if they tend to ask me for fertilizers, I will definitely add them. But ever since 5 years, I haven't had any issues. I don't see any signs of them showing any kind of deficiency of any kind of vitamins or nutrients or anything that can affect their healthy growth. So as of now, till date, for this present date, I haven't been adding any fertilizers because I don't see any reason that I have to add. So yes, if you are asking me for my opinion whether you want to add fertilizers or not, it's up to you. It's your wish. If you want to add fertilizers, you can go for any fertilizers that has a very less ratio of nitrogen. If you go to your garden center or if you go to the nursery, you can definitely check with them what are the different types of nutrients or what strength of nutrients they have. It will always be mentioned on the box itself what ratio does it have. There is NPK that has a lower ratio of nitrogen, whereas phosphorus and potassium is in a good amount. So if the phosphorus and potassium is slightly above, it's absolutely fine as long as the nitrogen is less. Because I have been reading some articles. I personally do not use fertilizers, but I have been reading articles, and it does say that succulents will do quite well in nutrients or in a fertilizer that has a very less level of nitrogen. So you can go for that. Again, guys, do not use any kind of animal waste. Ideally, animal waste is a very good type of manure. Be it vermicompost, be it cow dung, be it goat manure, be it chicken poop. All of these are a very good source of nutrients to the soil, but it is going to work out really well for our foliage plants, or probably for flowering plants, fruiting plants, or for veggies. But ideally, I would say if you are growing succulents, do not use any kind of animal waste fertilizers, because they contain a high amount of nitrogen. Every animal waste contains a high amount of nitrogen, so you do not want to use that. That can easily burn off your succulent roots. Especially cow dung has a very high rate of nitrogen. You do not want to use that. It will, even if you're going to use a very small quantity as well, it can be quite dangerous, because you never know how the succulent is going to react to the amount of nitrogen present in that. The same thing goes with the aquarium water as well. Fish waste tends to generate a lot of ammonia. If the water has a very strong stink to it or odor to it, it means that the amount of ammonia is very, very high in the aquarium water. Not only it's bad for your succulents, but it's also going to be very bad for your fishes as well. So you have to ensure that the water is clean. If you feel that the aquarium water does not have a very strong smell because of the filtration and all, probably you can use it a little bit during the growing season. Aquarium water is considered to be the most safest form of watering for any plants, be it succulents as well. But again, you have to ensure that it does not have a very strong odor. Strong odor means that there is a high amount of ammonia. You could easily poison your plant with the toxicity of ammonia, because ammonia can be very toxic if it's in a large amount. So you have to be extremely careful. Even though a lot of people say aquarium water is very safe, I also used to use aquarium water. I used to use my pond water. Things were working out really well. Now that I've shifted to a new place, I do not have that pond right now. But yes, pond water also tends to work out really well. I would say you can take 1 cup of pond water, dilute it in a liter of water, or you can even use it just like that. Any which ways, it's absolutely fine, as long as it does not have a very strong odor, because you do not want to add excess ammonia to your plants. Otherwise, that could lead to ammonia poisoning. So guys, that's all about it. At the end of the day, it's your wish. If you want to use fertilizers, you can. If you do not use, it's absolutely fine. You have some examples right in front of you. I haven't added any fertilizers. That is the reason why I do not talk much on this topic, because it's not the most important part. The most important part about succulents is that you need to have the proper soil, you need to have the proper lighting, your weather conditions should be good. Again, watering is also very secondary. The primary things are the soil, light, and the climate. These are the most primary things for succulents, and then the secondary is the type of pot, the size of pot, and the watering. Watering is going to be very simple. If your soil is loose, porous, and well draining, if you have a very good climate, your watering is going to depend on that, and also it will depend on your season as well. But fertilizers is something that is completely optional. Whether you do it or not, it's absolutely up to you. But if you want to use fertilizers, always dilute it, make it a very, very weak strength of fertilizer. Probably you can take 1/4, dilute in a liter of water. Now guys, always remember, whether you are using fertilizers for succulents, for foliage plants, flowering plants, fruiting plants or veggie plants, always ensure that the soil is moist. Do not add fertilizers directly to dry soil. Do not use fertilizers in a concentrated form. Even let's say if you want to use 1/4, do not use it directly in a concentrated form on dry soil. You have to moisten the soil, mix it and dilute it in water, and only then provide it. If you are going to use concentrated form of fertilizers or nutrients directly to dry soil, your succulent will get damaged, or your plant, any plant will get damaged. So you have to always ensure that your soil is moist and then add the fertilizer. So that was all about using of fertilizers for your succulents. I hope that this video was helpful to you. If it was, please hit the like button. If you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing to it. Until then, take care, stay safe and keep planting.